Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Thursday, April the 20th is race number 5 at Santa Anita. We're going down the hill at about 6.5 furlongs, and it's an entry-level optional claimer for California breds. Let's take a look at this field, and remember friends, head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com, download those free Formulator past performances, and handicap along with us in post-position order. The number 1 is Hot Ore, and Matt, we haven't seen Hot Ore in a long time.
Hot Ore we haven't seen since February of 2016. That was the only start as a 3-year-old for this gelding. In many ways, I feel like you could make the case that he's the key to the race, because as a 2-year-old, he had some races that were just as good, if not better, than what the rest of this field has run. If you just think strictly based on the sort of age and maturation process, he's going to take a step forward. He's certainly a player. Problem is, when you haven't seen him in 14 months, I don't know what you're going to get.
You're absolutely right. 77 Buyer's speed figure as a 2-year-old, just facing way better competition than the horses he's going to face here. Horses like Dresden Hermé and Aero Force and Collected and Frank Conversation. But the layoff is a concern, and Robertino Diodoro is a very good trainer, not really known for winning races down the hill. I wonder what we'll get from Hot Ore. The good Hot Ore could certainly make a dent in this race. I'm merely going to use him defensively.
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of punt and say if he beats me, so be it.
The number 2 is Packin' Heat. This is a 50-to-1 outsider on the morning line. Only 1 for 11, and the lone win came on dirt. He's never hit the board from 5 starts on grass.
Don't have a lot to say.
The number 3 is Over Par. You watch Over Par run, he's got that paddle going for him, and I'm not usually a big fan of those paddlers, but Over Par at least has improved from a Buyer speed figure standpoint in recent starts. This will be his first start of the year. I kind of like him starting back off at 6.5 furlongs, although this Doug O'Neill formulator fact isn't going to get the blood pumping. Past 3 years, older turf horses off a medium-sized layoff, 4% and a 26 cents ROI. I know this horse is not your cup of tea because lots of seconds.
Lots of seconds, but I can understand. I mean, from a talent standpoint, he may just be better than these horses, and he's just been in tough spots. I don't love his downhill races. I know his career debut wasn't awful, but his only other try, and I know it was in Stakes Company, it just didn't do anything for me, and I wonder if this is just a starting off point for something longer.
It's a fair point. I mean, his lone start down the hill was the Cal Flag, and he was 39-to-1 against Forest Chatter, so maybe I'll be a little bit forgiving. And I think you and I might have been on for DRF Live when we were talking about the races for his career debut way back in 2015, where he was 30-to-1. He didn't have a very good trip in that race. He was kind of checked mid-stretch. I understand the concerns, the layoff, the negative formulator fact. He's a one-run closer with lots of seconds. But from a fig standpoint, boy, he fits. And he's been facing some good horses. Temple Keys from that last race came back to place against open 1X foes with an 89 Buyer. The number 4 is Senator Robert. This horse has been in very good form, first or second in the last 5 starts. Second off the claim for trainer John Bruckelbank with good tactical speed.
Yeah, I want to use this horse somewhere. I don't know that I trust him on top, though, simply because you look at it, like you said, the tactical speed I think goes a long way. From a figure standpoint, he doesn't really have anything that makes him a major contender in here, though, if we're being honest about it. His Buyers are just sort of pedestrian, and his time from U.S. ratings, not all that fast. Having said that, he's in good form. I have to use him underneath.
Of course, that beat him last time out, David's Memory, came right back to run second against open 1X foes with an 84 Buyer speed figure. We move on to the 5, Hold This Miss, going out for a real underrated trainer in Blaine Wright. And Hold This Miss will remove blinkers for the switch back to turf. The only issue is this horse hasn't won in a long time.
Hasn't won in a long time. Most recent victory I want to say was, boy, back in 2015. It's been a long, long time between drinks. I do feel, though, you know, we bring up Hot Ore, how he may be an X factor. In many ways, Hold This Miss could be an X factor as well, trying Southern California for the first time, because there are figures on this one's page that are good enough to win or be competitive in here, but you bring up the biggest point, hasn't won in a long time.
Big drop for the number 6, Hot Market, who was in against a razor-sharp Pee Wee Reese last month, and that horse came back to win an open 2X with a 96 Buyer speed figure. Hot Market's being offered for the $20,000 tag. The last time he was in for 20, he won sprinting on turf at Del Mar and was claimed. This horse needs to improve from the recent Buyer speed figures, but I guess the class relief is something.
The class relief, yeah, I suppose that's really what you would be playing with a horse like this, because the recent form just isn't there. Last time you put the front wraps back back on, put the blinkers on. It just not really anything for me here.
Really interested in your thoughts on the number 7 Heat. It took Heat 18 tries to win his maiden, but he did so with a big Beyer speed figure going down the hill in 89. Has the light bulb finally turned on for this 5-year-old, or are you going to take the case, well, it took him 18 tries to break his maiden. What are the chances he'll win 2 in a row?
Usually I'm kind to these types.
Yes.
I like these kinds. It takes a while. They finally get it done, and they come back in a pretty soft spot. I don't believe the 89 particularly. You see insubordination. That horse came back most recently, I believe it was on Saturday, and just was kind of blah, didn't really do anything. If you take a line through that and say, strike the 89 through out of your past performances, he doesn't have a race on his page that can win.
That's truly a fair point. And also, even with that 89 Beyer, Corey gave him a beautiful ride in that race. He was able to save ground. The rail opened up. He shot right on through. And as the 6-5 favorite, he's supposed to beat those horses with that kind of trip. And he did. He's facing better here, obviously. The number 8 is Los Gatos, who goes out for a very good trainer in Kristen Mulhall. And here's our positive Mulhall formulator fact. Over the past 5 years with older dirt-to-turf runners off a small-size layoff, big ROI and a big winning percentage, 36%. The rains wreaked havoc with Los Gatos' performances over the winter. He could never set foot on the turf in 2 tries earlier this year. But he's a turf horse, and maybe the cutback's what he's always wanted.
Yeah, Mulhall tried to get him down the hill each of the past 2 starts. It just didn't work, so don't hold those against. But then you go back, and maybe he's just been in too tough for a long time, but he hasn't done anything really all that spectacular, although he does seem like sort of an X factor, an unknown in here, because he's only gone down the hill 1 time. I don't want to hold that against him. That was his 2nd lifetime start. Maybe this is what he wants. Of all the sort of fresh faces, he was one that I was a little bit interested in because I do think he has a little bit of tactical speed going down the hill. I just don't know what we're going to get out of him.
I do consider it a positive sign that Bejarano is enlisted to ride in here. Record Highs is the number 9. This is a horse making the 2nd start off an extremely long layoff. And all things considering, he wasn't embarrassed in his first start back against non-winners of one other than foes. He sort of ran evenly around the track. It was a good performance to build on. He's going to have to build on it, I think, by leaps and bounds, though, off only a 70 Beyer.
Yeah, he's going to need to move forward in a big, big way. And it's worth noting he was well handled by Senator Robert. And we talked about Senator Robert, how he doesn't really have that killer instinct or anything that really makes him a major, major contender, other than sharp recent form. This horse, I suppose you can call that a good return effort. You're going to need to move forward if you're going to be a competitor.
His lone lifetime win came in his 2nd lifetime start, albeit on dirt, so maybe the 2nd off the layoff angle will work to his favor. The number 10 is a new trend. This is a very lightly raced 5-year-old. He's got a bit of upside potential, and most importantly, Matt, he's got a lot of speed.
Got a lot of speed from the far outside. I think there's a real scenario where Pereira sends him. He clears off to the front, and he says, come and catch me. I thought his run 2 back was not bad at all. You see the way that race has come back. All the horses pretty comparable as far as what they ran that day, and guess what? That company is better or equal to what we're dealing with here from a speed figure standpoint. I don't love the gap in the workouts. That's certainly a bit of a concern, but in a race that I don't have a really strong opinion, I want to have a horse that I know where you're going to be. You got one job, and that's to make the front.
Very logical assumption. In a tough race, you want to be up front, and a new trend we know has big speed from that race 2 starts back, where Doc Curlin won it, and he came back. He ran a good third against open horses with an 84 Beyer, and Doc Curlin would be heavily favored in this race.
I tell you what, Doc Curlin was awesome going down the hill that day. He never took a deep breath, and like you say, against Tuffer, he ran a good third, but I feel like if a new trend can see out the distance, that's a little bit of a concern because in the past he's kind of gotten a little bit short at the end. If he can see out the distance on the front end, I think he's interesting.
Let's take a look at our top selections for our formulator race of the day. Matt, you're going with the number 10, a new trend, who's 6-1 on the morning line, pre-scratches and changes. 10, 8, 4, and 7 for Matt. I'll give over par a chance off the layoff. I know the formulator fact isn't good. If you can't beat him, he'll triple, because he's got that paddling action. I'll go 3, 7, and 1 in our race of the day. And if you're playing the Santa Anita Thursday card from home, head on over to drfbets.com/VIP. Be a VIP for a week. You start off with a $300 bonus. And then there are lots of goodies as well to play around with on drfbets.com/VIP. Approximate post time for the 5th at the Great Race Place on Thursday, 3 o'clock Pacific. Good luck.